Welcome to our week of daily uploads, where every day this week we'll be uploading a new top 5s video to give you as much entertainment as possible this week, because why not? Now before we get started, there's two things we wanted to mention, and you can go ahead and skip around a minute or so if you do not want to hear this. One is the launch of Destination Declassified, our alien and UFO channel. If you have an interest in exploring the possibility of alien life and UFO visitations, then check out Destination Declassified for all things alien and UFO. We'll be covering some incredible topics over the next few weeks, and anyone interested in our place in the universe does not want to miss out. Secondly, and for the small minority of people who've not heard this before, consider becoming a patron for just $2 per month, and you'll get exclusive access to documentaries that we do not upload to YouTube. We already have hours of documentaries over there for you to enjoy, such as a documentary on the Vietnam War, the mystery of D.B. Cooper, and the secrets of the American White House, talking about underground tunnels and alien communication. You can enjoy all that for just $2 per month, and we'd like to say a massive thank you to all the patrons, as we would not be able to keep up the documentaries and the upload frequency that we have across all of our channels if it was not for the Patreon support. Your contribution is massively appreciated. Now, we never wanted to put out documentaries or any videos behind a paywall, and for that reason, we give free access to all those people who are unable to pay $2 per month, especially during these troubling times. So if you genuinely cannot afford to become a patron, just email patreon@top5s.co.uk and we'll give you access to the content for free. Now, thanks for listening, and with all that out of the way, let's get into this video. The oceans of the world are not only vast, beautiful bodies of water containing an infinite number of strange creatures and bewildering phenomena, they are also home to many mysteries, secrets, and legends. And in this video, we'll be looking at 5 of those. So as always, hit those lights, sit back, and enjoy. SS Baychimo, the ghost ship of the Arctic. SS Baychimo was a steel-hulled, 1,322-ton cargo steamer built in 1914 in Sweden. Since her construction and launch, she was used on trading routes between Hamburg and Sweden until the First World War began in August 1914. After the war, she was transferred to the United Kingdom as part of Germany's reparations for shipping losses and was acquired by the Hudson's Bay Company in 1921, who renamed her from Anga Manafulven to SS Baychimo. From her new base in Scotland, she completed 9 successful voyages along the north coast of Canada, visiting trading posts and collecting pelts. However, on October 1st, 1931, at the end of a trading run and loaded with a cargo of fur, she became trapped in pack ice. The crew briefly abandoned the ship, travelling over a half-mile on ice to the town of Barrow to take shelter for 2 days. But by the time they returned, the ship had broken free. The crew reboarded, but shortly after the ship became ensnared again, and on the 15th of October, the Hudson's Bay Company sent aircraft to retrieve 22 of the crew. 15 of them remained behind, intending to wait out the winter. They left the ship and constructed a wooden shelter some distance away. Then on November 24th, a powerful blizzard struck, and after it dissipated, there was no sign of Baychimo. Her captain decided she must have broken up during the storm and sunk. However, a few days later, an Inuit seal hunter told the captain that he had seen Baychimo about 45 miles away from their position. The crewman tracked her down, but decided she was unlikely to survive the winter, and removed the most valuable furs from the hold, and she was left abandoned. But surprisingly, Baychimo did not sink. Instead, she drifted around on her own in the freezing waters, repeatedly becoming stuck in ice and then freeing herself to resume drifting again. She was sighted numerous times, still unmanned and adrift for nearly 40 years. Sailors managed to board her several times over the years, but each time they were either unequipped to salvage her or were driven away by bad weather. The last recorded sighting of her was by a group of Inuit in 1969, a full 38 years after she was abandoned. She was yet again stuck fast in the pack of ice, the Beaufort Sea, between Point Barrow and Icy Cape off the northwestern Alaskan coast. Her ultimate fate to this day is unknown. She could still be floating around somewhere or forever preserved in packed ice. In 2006, the Alaskan government began work on a project to solve the mystery of what has become known as the ghost ship of the Arctic and try and locate Baychimo, whether still afloat or on the ocean floor. As of 2020, she has still not been found. Utsuro Bune. Utsuro Bune is Japanese for hollow boat, and the term used for a strange Japanese legend. The following incident was recorded in 3 different manuscripts, all written within a few years of the alleged event. The Stories of the Garden of Rabbits, Diaries and Stories of Castaways, and Peach Powder. All 3 refer to the same event, with only the smallest variation in the description and outcome. On February 22, 1803, a group of fishermen from the Hitachi region of Japan spotted a boat floating in the Pacific Ocean close to the shore. The vessel was a hollowed-out capsule made of wood carved into the shape of an incense burner or a rice pit, measuring about 3.3 meters high by 5.4 meters wide. The bottom of the boat was covered with copper plates that protected it from the treacherous rocks along the coastline. It also had glass windows that were held in place by wooden strips secured with resin. The fishermen decided to bring the boat ashore to investigate. Once at shore, inside they found inscriptions on the walls written in an unknown language. There was water, food, bedding, and carpets, along with a mysterious young woman. She was described as strange, with red eyebrows, aged about 18 or 20 years old. She was small, measuring around 1.5 meters, with pale skin and red hair embellished with white extensions that appeared to be made of skin or finely cut fabric. The girl wore long garments made of an unknown fabric, and in her hands she held tightly to a light-coloured box. The fisherman tried to communicate with her, but she spoke an unknown language and behaved in a bizarre way. She refused to let them touch the small box and guarded it jealously. The fishermen were so frightened and confused about what they had found, and decided to put the girl back into the capsule and return it to the sea. When the locals heard the story, some suspected that she was the queen of a distant country who had been accused of adultery and exiled to sea. Others speculated that the little box might contain the head of her lover. For years, the mystery of the Utsuro Bune has passed through generations and interested historians, anthropologists, ethnologists, and UFO enthusiasts alike. For some, the story is just Japanese folklore and myth, but for others, the legend of the young woman is one of the earliest records of contact with beings from another planet. They compare the strange symbols found on the walls of the ship with those at other sites of supposed contact with extraterrestrials, and the shape of the hollow ship with flying saucers. Whatever the explanation, the mystery endures and is firmly embedded in Japanese folklore. What do you think of this one? High Aim Number 6, the modern-day Mary Celeste. On October 31, 2002, an 80-foot-long line fishing boat named High Aim Number 6 left the port of Lucio in southern Taiwan. The vessel was registered in Taiwan, but flew under an Indonesian flag. 2 months later, on the 8th of January 2003, the Australian Navy came across the crewless vessel, drifting approximately 80 nautical miles east of Broley Shoals, inside the Australian Exclusive Economic Zone. After boarding the boat, they found it was on full throttle, with the main gas tank dry, and there was no obvious reason for the abandonment. No signs of distress were found, and the crew's personal effects remained on board, including 7 toothbrushes, a half carton of Marlboro cigarettes, a jar of coffee, along with the captain's reading glasses. The crew members' clothes and documents were stored neatly where they should be. She had plenty of fuel and provisions, and no sign of a struggle could be found. But the crew had vanished. Initial concerns that the ship had been carrying illegal immigrants were soon dismissed when they discovered 10 tons of viable bonito tuna in the refrigerated hold. The High Aim 6 was towed to Broome, where forensic examination was conducted and a search for the crew was commenced that spanned across 7,300 nautical miles, but no trace was found. The owner of the ship confirmed that he had last spoke with the captain in December 2002. Phone records indicate that over a week after the boat was discovered, local calls were still being made from Indonesia, using the cell phone of the boat engineer. After checking the call records, the Taiwanese police deemed a mutiny was probable. However, the Indonesian police could only track down one member of the 10 believed to be involved. According to his declaration, members of the crew had killed the captain and the engineer on December 8th and then proceeded to go back to their homeland. But he never gave a clear explanation as to the motive and the details of the takeover. High Aim 6 sat beached on the sand beach of Broome for about a year, becoming a popular tourist attraction. Locals had hoped the ship would be dragged offshore and scuttled to be used as a dive wreck, but the ship was dismantled and transferred to a local landfill a year after its discovery. The whereabouts of the crew, the reason for the mutiny, and the circumstances of the alleged murders still remain a complete mystery. Ghost Ship Jenny. Now this next one is like something out of a horror movie and the subject of a long-standing but still unproven legend. The Jenny was an English schooner that left her home port on the Isle of Wight in 1822 but never reached her destination. She was presumed lost at sea along with her crew. However, in September 1840, 18 years after her disappearance, Jenny was discovered by the whaling ship Hope, frozen in an ice barrier of the Drake Passage, a body of water between South America's Cape Horn, Chile, and the southern Shetland Islands of Antarctica. Captain Brighton, the Hope's captain, ordered his crew to board the stricken Jenny, and what they found was horrific. The Antarctic cold had perfectly preserved all of the crew's bodies, and they were scattered around the ship like ice statues. The captain was frozen at his desk, where an open log's last entry read, May 4, 1823, no food for 71 days, I am the only one left alive. Captain Brighton received the ship's log that revealed her last port call was a location in Peru. Brighton took the log and intended to return it to the ship's owner, but no attempt was made to retrieve the bodies. The account of the horrific find didn't appear until many years later in 1862 in an anonymous article in an edition of Globus, a popular German geographical magazine, and questions have always been raised about how true the story is. Although there appears to be some truth in the tale, and a rock named the Jenny Buttress that overlooks Destruction Bay on the east side of King George Island in the South Shetland Islands was named in memory of the ship and her lost crew. What became of the ship and the bodies are unknown, and they could very well be preserved in ice somewhere in the Antarctic. A very creepy thought. Scientists successfully retrieve 100-million-year-old microbes from the seabed. Now, this is a relatively new discovery, and it shows how little we know about life and how much we still have to learn, especially when it comes to the ocean. New research published in the journal Nature Communications in July 2020 revealed that scientists have successfully revived microbes that had lain dormant at the bottom of the sea since the age of the dinosaurs. The microbes were discovered after an analysis of ancient sediment samples deposited more than 100 million years ago deep beneath the seabed of the South Pacific Ocean. The area they were found is renowned for having far fewer nutrients in its sediment than usual, making it a far from ideal site to maintain life. The revival process was carried out by a team led by the Japan Agency for Marine Earth Science and Technology. The team incubated the samples to help coax the microbes out of their epoch-spanning slumber, and astonishingly, scientists found the deep-sea microorganisms were capable of eating, growing, and dividing after remaining in an energy-saving state for millions of years. Even more astonishing is they were able to revive nearly all of the microorganisms detected. Their research sheds light on the remarkable survival power of some of Earth's most primitive species, which can exist for tens of millions of years with barely any oxygen or food, before being brought back to life in a lab. Scientists now know that there is no age limit for organisms in the sub-seafloor biosphere. The oxygen traces in the sediment allowed the microbes to stay alive for billions of years, while expending virtually no energy. Energy levels for seabed microbes are millions of times lower than that of surface microbes, although it still remains a mystery as to how the seabed organisms had managed to survive for so long. Now, although this one is very different to the previous 4 topics we just mentioned, we wanted to end on this one, as this will really open your mind to other life forms forming on other planets. This finding opens up a real possibility of finding life in the most inhospitable conditions imaginable, and that could very well include planets other than Earth. What's your thoughts? So that's it for this video. We hope you've enjoyed, and we hope you're enjoying all of these daily uploads this week. Thanks for watching, and as always, we'll see you in the next video.